Thank you for listening to Lone Star Community Radio. This program was broadcasted and recorded live from the LSCR studios in downtown Conroe, Texas. Lone Star Community Radio is supported by listeners like you. Donate and sponsor today. For more information on getting involved with Lone Star Community Radio, contact us at lscrstudios@gmail.com or visit us online at www.irlonestar.com.
Well, I have an announcement to make. I have returned from my 4 days of darkness, and I have arrived at a decision on my future, Dick.
What did the tea leaves tell you?
I'm going to continue doing radio.
Audience of
An
one.
audience of one with Andrew and Dick. Yes, that's my decision after 4 days of darkness.
That's good to see. Oh, that's right. He finally came out of his hole.
He did. We came out at the exact same time.
Yeah, he was your
Nuts.
neighbor in the neighbor cave.
Yeah, we would knock on each other in the wall. Yeah. But no, I did not go into hiding for 4 days. But anyways, you look a little sun-kissed there, man.
Yeah, it was a busy weekend. So I do want to remind folks, audience of one, Wednesdays
10 a.m.
at 10 a.m. Podcast, YouTube, Facebook, all that stuff. Look up Audience of One with Andrew and Dick. But yeah, this weekend, downtown Conroe had a Big Top marketplace. It's a traveling marketplace that comes around, I won't say once or twice a year here. But the family and I went out, and it was fun. And then
Nice.
I forgot that the sun is the sun. And
It's going to do sun things.
well, the weather here is Texas weather. So I brought my jacket. It was a little nippy in the morning. And then by 30 minutes walking around, I was like, I'm sweating. And so next thing I know, I wake up this morning, I look at my arms, and I'm like, oh, you can kind of see it.
Yeah.
'Cause I'm a pale boy.
Yeah.
I'm a pale boy.
Well, it's definitely that time of year in Texas where you can conceivably turn on the heater at night and then the air conditioner during the day. Mm-hmm. It's really strange. I don't think a lot of places around the country have that issue, at least not as often as we do. We have it for a good month in there, it
To be
seems.
an AC guy in Texas is a solid job.
I would think so, yeah.
Solid.
I just had to get a new one last year. Oh, my gosh, expensive.
Yeah.
Anyways,
I mean, yeah. And that should be our sponsor. It's an AC guy.
no kidding.
Because they
No kidding.
want to get that out there. But yeah. So how about you? How's your weekend? You doing okay?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. I do think we need to have a little bit of show cleanup from last week, and I think this is the problem with having a show that only goes out once a week.
Yeah.
When you make a mistake or you realize you said something that maybe wasn't completely true.
Well, we're not journalists.
We're definitely
we're
not.
entertainers.
Absolutely, we are. Yeah, that's what I
So
consider
we don't
myself.
care if we're wrong.
Well, I cared in this sense, and it bothered me all week, and
Okay.
so now I had to wait till this show to come back to correct it. But last week you asked me if I had seen Starship Troopers, and I
Okay.
said no.
Yeah.
And you know what?
Did you lie to me?
I did not tell a lie. I just didn't remember, and I went back and looked it up, and I'm like, oh yeah, I've seen that movie. In fact, I've seen it a couple of times, and I remember at the time liking it. So I just want to make sure that I let you as well as the audience know. Yes, I have seen the 1997 great action sci-fi flick.
Yeah, that's a good movie.
Starship Troopers. Yes. So
Well, good. That's good. I mean, I know the audience was like, this guy's full of it. He's never seen that
no
movie.
one has not ever seen that movie.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I mean, Sci-Fi Channel was on repeat with that. And I guess, I don't even know if Sci-Fi Channel's around anymore.
You know, I don't know.
I don't know.
Oh, I don't know. Well, I heard you on the Cindy Cochran show this past week. The great Cindy
Yeah,
Cochran.
she had a good week. She's got some interesting guests. And
Yeah, you weren't one of them, but you did kind of co-host,
Yeah.
as you will do from time to time. Cindy Cochran, by the way, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 2 o'clock,
Right here.
106.1,
Yeah.
104.5, IRLoneStar.com, all the good
she'll
stuff.
probably
right?
want you to be on her show.
Well, she's
if
got
you
to send out the invite, I guess. But anyways, I heard you on there, and you said something pretty interesting that I went, wait a
Well,
minute.
Probably fibbed or...
No, you did say that you wanted 20 children.
20? Yeah, hell yeah. Who else going to work at this radio station?
Right, you're going to have them running the boards and doing
Yeah.
the lighting and everything, yeah. And I thought 20 kids, that's a lot of kids, Dick.
Is that what they ended up doing at that slaughterhouse? Did you hear that report a couple weeks ago? Where up in the Northeast, a slaughterhouse got caught with children who were working
Oh, no.
and like legit working, they were getting paid, and it
Well,
was.
what are they complaining about? They're getting paid.
I don't know.
How old are kids we talking about here?
I think like 12 to 15. I think that's but I like
that's young, man.
Well, I don't know if it was like family members though. I was like, I bet it's like family members or something. But you know that what's the Jungle? Remember that book?
The Jungle Book. I
So,
remember
no,
that.
No, I think it's called The Jungle. It's not Austin Sinclair, but it's about the meatpacking industry in like the early 1920s, I think. About how all the kids work there because their hands are small and they can do all of a sudden they lose their fingertips and things like that. And
Well, after hearing that you wanted 20 kids,
yeah, 20 kids.
I thought, it is usually tradition that you name a child,
Yeah.
typically before they're born, but sometimes right after.
Well, sometimes you forget. After 20, you're like, oh, that's right. That's part of the process. We got to name this kid.
Right. So I thought it might be useful for you to know that there are actually names that are illegal to name your children.
When you say illegal, do you mean like if you go and we give birth at like a home birth and we just fill out the card and we send it into the United States Social Security?
I think at some point it probably comes back.
It
Yeah, they
comes
have a
back
check
like,
on it. Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like getting those decal license plates.
Right,
Or
vanity plates.
Vanity plates, right? It's kind of like that.
I suppose it's like that. I think there's a few of those that are off limits as well. But no, in general, the United States and the world have a few things in common, whereas names that are illegal. But in the United States, I thought we'd go over some of the ones here in the United States that are illegal. Okay.
Yeah, you sent me the list, and I'm still...
Yeah. Well, don't get ahead. But
Okay.
I think in general, anything that has a number in it is not allowed.
Okay.
So and it gives an example, and I'm reading from usbirthcertificates.com, so it has to be official. If you name your child Monica and replace the I with a 1, that's not going to be allowed.
Oh, it's not like internet handles?
Apparently
Avatars?
not.
You can't give it an avatar name?
No, but I got to think about this. That also means you cannot name your child R2D2 or C3PO or even BB-8, I suppose, unless you spell it out. So I know that was probably on your short list.
I wonder how that works. Kind of like DBAs, DBA like doing business as, because a lot of businesses out there names have been taken, but you can do a DBA, like for example, Lone Star, very popular name for Lone Star. So, but like we had to do like an official
Doing business
like
as.
nonprofit name,
Yeah, sure.
and then we had doing business as Lone Star. I wonder if you could do that with your name. So like I can name you Robert, Robert Tolkien or whatever, but then name is
Yeah.
R2D2.
I don't think you can treat yourself like a business. I don't think.
Oh, you
But
can't.
Maybe someone will have to correct us after this. I don't know.
Well, I feel like this is going to be an avalanche because, today everyone's changing their names and pronouns. So it's like, yeah, I don't want to be called Samantha. I want to be called R2D2. And then teachers are like, okay. And it just sticks.
Yeah, but there's a difference between that and then legal. I don't think legally you can change your name to, according to this, anyways.
Okay.
I'm just trying to help you out with. Again, you're gonna have to come up with 20 of these.
I'm trying to
suckers,
figure out a way to get away with it. So, like, by the time I hit 10 kids, it's like, oh, we got to get more creative with it.
Yeah. Well, I think it might be smart to name your child something they can monetize. I don't know. You can name them like Dallas Cowboy or
Yeah. How about George Foreman?
Oh yeah, they're all named George.
Man. Imagine that. Like, I'm
I'm
gonna continue his name.
I'm gonna name my kid ChatGPT.
Yeah.
Something they can monetize. They may hate it now, but they'll like it later when all the residuals
Or
are rolling.
Microsoft or something. So
Yeah,
every time they
something.
look you up, they can never find you because it's...
There you go. Well, here's a list. I have a list here in front of me of a few that are illegal here in the United States.
Okay.
The first two kind of make sense given our history, breaking away from the British monarchy, and that's king and queen. Can't name your kids king or queen, which makes sense, I guess.
I don't know.
These laws were probably written quite some time ago. The other one, Jesus Christ. Cannot name your kid that. So just in case that was on your short list. We got one here, just 3 I's, like I.
So the Roman
L.
numeral?
Yeah, it looks like maybe the Roman numeral. I would have no idea why, though, on that one, but it is not allowed. So Santa Claus. Cannot name your kid Santa Claus. And this one, I think, is fairly self-evident, but you probably don't want to name your kid Adolf Hitler.
Well, I mean, yeah.
You're not doing the kid or yourself any favor there.
Well, what's funny is on that list, I looked it up, and there's a number sequence. I was like, what's that number sequence mean? Yeah, don't look it up.
Yeah, there's a few in there I'm actually skipping. We are over the air. I'm going to skip a few.
I
of those,
wonder
but-
if Elon Musk has tested this.
Well, his
Because,
child's name is just letters. I don't think there's any numbers. I think it has a dash in there.
Because there's one that's like it has an at symbol. Like you can't use the at symbol.
The at symbol is not allowed. No. Nope.
So I imagine he's going to put one of those into his kids' names. Like
but it says right
Elon
here,
Musk.
Elon Musk and Grimes named their child charmingly XAEA-XII. And apparently in California that is allowed. So.
Oh, interesting. So you can do dashes.
Yes. But I think some of the more entertaining ones are the ones from around the world. And, of course, there's a bunch of them here, and we're not going to go through all of them. But I think it's kind of funny. In New Zealand, apparently you cannot name your child Chief Maximus.
Yeah.
Although that's a strong name.
I mean, see, some of these names you gave me are just ridiculous. Like, I wonder why you can't be named Sarah in Morocco.
Well, I'm guessing there was probably a president or some official that had a relationship with someone named Sarah, probably back in the 1500s, and it went sour, and that's it. No one's naming their name. No one can name their child Sarah after that. It's pretty funny. Like in New Zealand again, sex fruit. Can't name your kid sex fruit. That's unfortunate.
Well, you know, most of this list you're giving me is like someone actually tried this.
Oh, I'm sure. So. Yeah, I'm sure. In Malaysia, you can't name your kid Snake. So that's interesting. Let's see. In France, can't do Prince William.
Okay.
And in Germany, I like where they're going here. You can't name your child Osama bin Laden, which again probably makes
number
sense.
one here is in New Zealand because you look at all they're like it's just you can't name your kid Anal. Like what's wrong with that?
I know. I mean, come on. What's up with that?
I mean, I don't know. That's funny though. Some of these say like Judas in Switzerland. It's just like I don't believe that.
Yeah.
But then,
Thor, Portugal. You can't name your kid Thor in Portugal.
Yeah,
that's lame.
Yeah, I don't see why not.
I know.
I wonder who comes up with that. Like who adds new names to the list, especially in the United States, because you know those people at the Social Security is like, oh my God, you see this kid's name? And it's Dick Butkus. You know, it's like,
Well, in Saudi Arabia, this is the last one I will go over. You cannot name your child Linda.
You guess what I'm saying? Like
how nondescript is that? Now, and again, I think it was probably something like a Saudi prince of some sort.
Do you think
must
they
have had a relationship.
The name? It's like there's only
it's up in the rafters.
Yeah, there's only
we're
one
done, guys.
Linda in Saudi Arabia, and that was my wife. And I had the most money, so you listen to me.
That's right. That's what I'm getting at. I think this has something to do with past.
Yeah. You know, I like the anal though.
I'm sorry. What?
Anal.
Yeah, it's pronounced anal.
Anal.
Anal. Yeah, that's it. You gotta be careful. Oh wait, I said that was the last one, but I think this one's funny too. Again, in Portugal, you cannot use the name Tom.
That's what I'm saying. Like they retired the names. That's how great people are in Portugal. There's a great Tom somewhere.
Oh yeah.
Can you imagine the underground? Like what's his name? Oh, that's Tom. Oh, we can't even say it. The man who must not be named. Harry Potter kind of stuff. Like we can't say his name. It's illegal, dude. But that's funny. You know that some poor clerk has to go through all that and run the baby check.
These days it's probably through a computer. But yeah, somebody probably has to double check the computer. But I did not know that there were actually names that were illegal. I mean, it makes sense. I think you have to have some sort of rules in place. Some of these, obviously, across the world are silly.
I wonder, you know, like Social Security, people always say like it's easy just identity theft. So if you named yourself like Jeff Bezos.
I don't think that's illegal, no.
Well, that's what I'm saying, but then it's like, hey, where's my money? I'm Jeff Bezos.
Well, I think the problem there is the fact that you're trying to steal someone's identity. That's where the illegal part comes in. You can name whatever you want.
It's accident.
I mean, think about how many guys out there named Michael Jordan. They're probably in their 50s.
That's true.
You know, and their parents named them that before Michael Jordan was. Oh, I would hate that. My name's Michael Jordan. Oh, it's terrible. Well,
if you hate your name, let us know what it is so we can make fun of you. Send us a message on Facebook. Like, you have the most ridiculous name.
Yeah. Well,
like, I was telling Holly, so I'm Richard Price Schistler the Fourth. And
solid.
And
so solid.
I was like, if we have a boy, we're naming Richard Price Schistler the Fifth. And she's like, you're not a legacy person, Richard. Like, you're not a king. And I was like, well, you know, if it's a female, we're still going to name it on the birth certificate. That way I can at least pass the name on and say I did it. And then we can call her whatever you want to call her to her face. But on the birth certificate,
you're not royalty.
Yeah.
Well, you could have fooled me. I'm the fourth. Someone before me thought it was important enough to continue on the name.
Yeah.
So you may not be royalty, but it is important to somebody.
Well, family gatherings were always fun because you had Dick, Rick, Richard, and Richie, you know, at one point. And then I was little Richie. for a while, and then
Oh, thank you for that. I'm gonna have to make note of that. Little Richie.
and then if you're around my mother, don't call me Little Ricky. She hated that. So apparently, a family member when I was born made this huge poster. It's like "Welcome home, Little Ricky," and my mom. There's a picture of her holding holding me. She just looks so mad about it. And I asked her, I was like, "Why are you mad about someone calling me Little Ricky?" She's like, "I just hate that name. I hate it." And I was like, "What did Little Ricky ever do to you?" But you never know. People really hate names sometimes.
Yeah, no doubt.
What is the name you hate the most? Like you just hear it and you're like, "Oh my gosh."
Man, I don't know. I don't know that I've ever really thought about that.
I don't know. Samuel. Samuel's kind of a name. I'm like, ugh. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I don't know.
We just lost a listener, man.
I'm just kidding. I mean,
I don't think there's a name out there
like
that
Jebediah would
that
be
I have
hilarious.
some kind of reaction to.
Like if people have the old biblical names would be great.
Yeah. Well, maybe I'll get back to you on that one. I don't know. I haven't thought about that in a
Like
minute.
who? Like Abraham.
Solid.
Yeah.
I got no problems with Abraham.
I mean, imagine Hercules. Someone named their kid Hercules.
And he's really small.
Or just not strong.
Yeah. Poor guy. Well, I think this you've given some really good information here, little Ricky.
Little Ricky, yeah.
Oh, man, I think this is going to be a banger of a show. You know, this may actually go down as the red wedding of our shows, you know? I mean, well, except without the wedding and without the murder and
the
stuff.
arrows.
But like this is going to be the show that everybody talks about. This is the Little Ricky episode. Oh my gosh. I had no idea. We're getting some good insight here.
Well, yeah, names are names, man, and they stick with you. How easy is it to change your name?
I don't think it's actually that difficult.
Because according to my wife, it's impossible because she won't change her last name. Shout out, I'm calling you out.
Well, I don't think it's that difficult. I do think it's a certain amount of work from what I've heard. I like my name, so I'm not necessarily.
Well, her
gonna change
excuse is when she's going through nursing school. She's like, if I change it, I have to change it again. And it's all on the state license board. And it's like, I have to do all this stuff. So I'm going to do it after I finish all my schooling. And I go,
Makes
okay.
sense.
Yeah, sure.
Makes sense. Well, staying on this theme of children.
Oh, yeah.
We've got a child named Isaac Ortman.
Okay.
And he's only 14 years old. Okay. And he is from Minnesota.
Okay.
And I'm just wondering 14 years ago when his parents named Isaac, if they thought he was going to be famous for this. And he has now made the news last month because he has now slept over 1,000 consecutive days outside.
Yeah, you sent me. I'm gonna pull up a picture for the audience to see if you're on Facebook, YouTube and stuff. So that's him in his.
That is him chilling out. Look at that.
So-
and now they're in Minnesota, so you can imagine. It's not like it's fairly warm.
Yeah.
I mean, especially this time of year. We're talking below
he's
zero
sleeping.
temperatures. Yeah.
He's a Boy Scout, so he likes camping. Clearly.
Clearly, yes. It says that recently, though, he crept into his house in the middle of the night because he had spotted a black bear in the backyard.
Now, is he trying to do like a world record thing, or is he just like, hey, I just like sleeping
So
outside?
he says that he's not, but there apparently is another kid out there that's sleeping. He's got like 1,200 days, and he's like, oh no, I'm not doing this for any sort of notoriety. But after the black bear left, guess what he did? Right back out into the sun. Like, I ain't going out there.
Yeah. Well, do you think it's one of those things where, like, I know some people love camping, but right when you get inside and you take your shower, your hot shower, you're like, oh, why did I ever leave?
Exactly.
But he doesn't want to leave.
Yeah. Apparently, this started during COVID when he was looking for something to do, something fun to do. And his dad said, I got a great idea. Why don't you go sleep outside in sub-zero temperatures?
So his dad really hates this kid.
Well, I'm not going to go.
I think underlying story of it is he goes, I'm so sick of you.
Well, it actually
Just go outside.
It actually says, my dad's like, you should go sleep outside this weekend. And I'm like, I'm speaking from the 14-year-old.
Yeah.
Sure, why not? Sounds like fun, Isaac recalls. Yeah, his dad was kicking him outside.
Can you imagine? So you know how like there's movies out there, and there's also stories like you have that one kid who like won't take off. Everyone had like that one kid that wouldn't take off their bathing suit. You ever heard these stories where it's like, that like out of the 5 kids, or you have that one kid who's like, I won't take off the tutu. I have to wear this every day.
Oh, yeah, no, I know.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yes,
like they have these behavioral habits, like they don't want to give
Correct.
up. And maybe this is one of those things where he's like, you know what, this is what I want to do.
But I think typically that's with like small children. This guy's 14.
Yeah, he's getting there. He's tough.
I mean, at some point he's going to discover girls and whatnot and not be into this.
Oh, you don't want to stay outside with me?
Oh, were you? I thought you were asking.
No,
me.
no, I'm talking about with his future girlfriends. He's like, oh, you don't want to stay outside?
So here we go. It says, at this point, Isaac has no specific end date in mind, and he's even entertaining the idea of sleeping outside throughout college. Well, that will pretty much guarantee he's not going to have a girlfriend right there.
Well, his dad's probably happy he didn't have to pay board.
right, just some books and tuition. Man, he says his dad says he's just having fun with it. But I don't know, man. If you had a kid, would you let him do this?
Maybe he's practicing on being homeless.
He's practicing. Yeah, like it goes back to our first episode conversation.
He's a survivalist.
14, and he's going to have an app so he can go sell drugs and make money. Like you talked about.
I told you, man. Apps are wonderful things today.
Yeah.
He probably put an outlet in one of his trees. He's got his electrical outlet.
I don't know that picture. It didn't look like there's any power or anything there.
Well, I mean, okay, let me ask you this. Why is this really a story? Because it'd be one thing if he was camping out in the middle of nowhere, and it's like, yeah, he's just living off the land. But it sounds to me he's a football throw away from the house.
He is, yeah.
So it's like, okay, cool, like go camping, I guess. Like, and then I don't really think this is a big deal. Why are we reading this on today?
So are you saying that you will allow at least one or maybe more than one of your future 20 children to sleep outside? You're not going to care?
If they wanted to. And
okay.
But I'm saying it'd be one thing if the achievement of sleeping outside if they're far away. And, like, the parents wouldn't like that. They're like, I can't call you. I can't get to you. But it's like, no, this kid just sleeps outside. It's like, all right, cool. Like, so do dogs. Like, not a big deal.
I think that's probably true if he's done it for a night or two. But after hundreds and hundreds and now over 1,000 nights, I remember, distance really doesn't matter anymore. This is a thing, and it's kind of crazy.
We built a tree house when I was younger.
Yeah.
And I loved it. And I slept out there all the time. But I was still right next to the house. So it really wasn't that big of a deal. Like, do you think he doesn't shower? Like, he doesn't come inside at all?
Oh, no, I think, no, he's coming inside. He's doing things. This is just a bit to sleep outside. It says at one time he had a fever of 102 degrees, but still went out there and did it. He said the swinging hammock made him feel nauseated, but he stayed out. I know, man. The kid's devoted to it.
Yeah, I would send him to a psych ward.
Well, hold on now. You just said that you'd let your kids do it.
Yeah, I'd send them to a psych ward.
I guess letting them and then making them are two different things.
And I would freak people out. Like, I have no idea who that is. Like, they just started sleeping outside our house. No idea who it is.
Oh, man. Well, kids do grow up. They go from babies when you have to name them.
Yeah.
And then they turn into, 14-year-olds that want to stay outside. And then they start, somewhere around that time, they start having their own language. So I have a 15-year-old daughter, and words that they use start to change
like
around
slang,
this time.
You're saying?
Slang.
Okay.
Yeah, man. So, like, we'll be at the dinner table, and I'll make dinner, and she's like, oh, Dad, this hamburger's bussin'.
Bussin'?
Bussin'.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know if that's good.
And you say thank you.
Yeah, that's right.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Or something is fire. Like, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. So, but it's weird, and it even goes into texting. Now, my daughter has a phone, so she'll text with me.
Oh, I don't even want to talk about texting. I mean, that would confuse. Because I confuse people when I send texts because I just have spelling corrections all over the place.
Okay, so this brings me to my next topic here. Then, are you one of these full punctuation texters, or are you using a lot of shorthand and slang?
I mean, whatever autocorrect sends, that's what I send. And it might not be what I meant, but it's just like, it is what it is.
Okay. Well, I think that's probably anyone over the age of 35, if I had to guess, is probably using more punctuation in their text messages than some of the younger people, because they ain't using any. I know somebody who was actually texting someone who was significantly younger than this person, and they replied back with the one answer, sure. But they replied back, sure, period. And the younger person interpreted that differently because there was punctuation.
We can talk about that. I mean, my wife gets mad at me all the time when I get home. Like, why are you mad at me?
Yeah, it's like, what are you talking about?
The way you sent that text, it sounded like you were judging me on. I'm like, what?
Yeah,
like,
but apparently, though,
if
if my friend had just sent sure, it would have been fine. But sure with a period was interpreted differently by this younger generation. It came across as
sterner,
condescending. Yeah, so like, sure, whatever. And of course, my friend had no idea.
People will read way too much into text. I think. Well, that's what the way of communication, especially with what you said, was all the slang texting, and it's like WBU. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
And my wife sent that to me. It's like, okay.
Awesome. So,
I'm a horrible texter.
Okay, so this is interesting because I'm somewhat of a full punctuation texter. I think over the years I've kind of gotten away and I do less and less. But I know for a while there, I mean, it's capitals, commas, periods. Yeah. I try to still do some of that, but I've gotten a little bit lax. But I think we need to take a little test here.
Okay.
Dick. I think we need to take a little test and find out how good you are at interpreting some of these
are they called
texting
acronyms?
shorthands.
Is it
texting
acronyms?
shorthands, acronyms. Okay. I don't know. Yeah, abbreviation, texting abbreviations.
Okay, go for it. All
Okay,
right.
so I've got a website here, Grammarly.com, and it's got like the top 25. We're not going to go through all of them.
Okay.
Some of them are like LOL. Everybody knows
Laugh
that
out
one.
loud.
Laugh out loud, right?
All right.
So we're not going to go through some of
got a
those.
point.
Yeah. So, but like, how about this one? TBH.
To be honest.
All right, that's right. To be honest, the phrase is used to indicate that you're expressing your true opinion. TBH. And the example, I love this. I'm not a fan of Jell-O. It's way too jiggly, TBH.
I think there's one that I still don't know. I'm trying to remember what it is. Like, well, it's more of a written word instead of texting. It's like you ever see where it says like SIC,
Yeah,
like brackets, sick. I always like, is that C in comments? Is that what that is? But like, there's never any like a section
Yeah, I don't know.
to refer it to. And I'm like, I don't understand why reporters say that. Like, how am I supposed to see in the comments? But there's no comments section to see it in.
Yeah.
So I feel disconnected with the world.
How about OMW?
On my way.
Look at you.
That's easy.
Okay. All right.
Because it's funny on my phone, if I do OMW, it automatically spells it all out.
Oh, wow.
It won't,
It already
won't
knows.
let me do OMW. It'd say
wow.
on my way, and I was like, man, is it trying to say that I'm stupid?
No, that's crazy that there's some sort of algorithm in your phone now that knows shorthand and can automatically.
You should see the
crazy.
words it autocorrects for me. Like if I use the 4-letter word, it's automatically duck.
Yeah, it's like it's never duck. Why are you? It's never duck. I never say the word duck.
And it's other things too, especially like when I use there or where.
Yeah.
It's always like it always auto changes it to the wrong way to use it, and I'm like, no.
I really meant it this way.
Now,
Trust me.
When you text those grammar police people to like, especially like my mother would be like, you used that incorrectly, Richard.
Yeah,
And
you know
I'm
you're going to pull up to the house one of these days, and Holly's going to come up and go, "Look, a duck," and you're like, "That's not what I meant in that message." Dang it!
yeah,
All right, how about OTOH?
I have no idea.
Ah, that one. First one we got you with. That's on the other hand.
I don't even say that in general. On the other hand,
All right, how about this one? NVM. VM.
never mind.
There you go. In the example, can you buy more ketchup? Oh, NVM just found the bottle in the door.
Like if you sent me a text about like that, I'd be like, get out of here. Like I don't care. Put you on block.
Yeah. Some of these are funny though. I mean, obviously, I think like NBD. I think that
No
one's-
big deal.
There you go. That one's
Yeah.
pretty easy. A lot of these they've almost become part of our language now. I mean, it's like LOL. This one just popped up here. I mean, that's a verb now. Oh, I LOL'd. Like I literally did. It's funny. I don't know. Let's see here. LMK.
Let me know.
All right. So I think you're ready.
I got the general,
I think you're ready,
I got
man,
the
for
general
kids
stuff.
and the texting language. I don't know if
but I don't use it. I'm not in practice. I don't have kids. You have kids, so it's like, is that just a standard way they communicate every single text, or do you think they text their friends differently than they text you?
I think that my daughter
Like they're not sending
and son
eggplants and stuff like that. Because
I have not received one of those yet.
Doesn't that mean? I forgot what that means. What does that mean?
We're probably still over the air at this point.
Yeah.
So, but no, I would think that they probably communicate differently with their friends than they do with me.
That's got to be so funny when you accidentally, like you say, like you do not just the sure period, but like you use the eggplant because you think it's fun, and they're like, Dad, don't send that.
No, I don't think I'm sending that to my daughter.
Like, because I think there was even one where like I was reading the other day, is you couldn't do certain emojis together like on Twitter and stuff because it meant something, so they had to ban it because it was something really bad.
Wow.
Like
Elon's all over it, man.
something like that.
Wow, I had not heard that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to look that up. We'll bring that to show. Well,
But it's like it's in the group they put it in. You know, it's not just like one emoji's bad. It's like if you put it
it's
in
a series.
yeah, it's
together.
a series and it means something like really mean.
It kind of reminds me a little bit of like back in the beeper days. This is probably before your time, and you could like write out something.
like hello.
Yeah, and you
or-
turn it upside down and
Yeah.
said boobs or something. No,
Boobies.
We all thought that was so funny, so
Yeah.
great. Yeah. Anyway.
beeper days.
Yeah, beepers. Gosh, that's terrible. I never had one.
I don't see why anyone, if you're not a doctor, would need one.
Yeah, or drug dealer. That was always the joke, right?
there's-
Doctor or drug dealer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that makes more sense to me.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think it's a pretty good chance for us to take a break
Yeah?
here, man. Yeah.
All right, so we got children's names, illegal names, and then we got silly things that you text each other, I guess.
Yeah, I was just making sure that you were prepared with your 20 children to make sure. That
And the sad thing is I'm never going to use this stuff. I'll just still autocorrect everything incorrectly to people. And people are like, what are you even saying right now? I'm like, oh, I didn't even read that. Sorry.
All right, we'll be back, guys.
Dreadlocks, a red fox and ripple. We pass participles and smash the artists in you. The saga continues. This I won't get into.
Listen in Mondays at noon to hear Conroe news from local nonprofits, businesses, upcoming events, Conroe Park events, news stories, and information that matters to you with your host, Margie Taylor of Taylorized PR. For more information about being a guest, visit irlonestar.com/Conroe Culture.
We in the game, yo, but not to be vain. I refrain from salt grains to season up my name. We entertain for a mutual gain from close range. Steady aim, my drum at your head to hit the brain. I'm labor ready, roll scholar for the dollar. Work for mine.
Welcome back to Audience of One with Andrew and Dick. You mentioned something earlier, Dick, about your wife being a nurse.
Yeah, she's a nurse.
Yeah, she might be interested in this.
She's a hero.
She is.
She's a hero.
An essential worker, some might say.
Yeah.
Yeah. She might be interested in this next segment.
Okay.
So this caught my eye the other day. Apparently there is a nurse who's really, as it says, cashing in on her courses. No pun intended, or maybe pun completely intended. It says here that a California nurse has claimed that she's earned $2 million for her class notes from school after listing them for sale on Etsy.
I bet Etsy was never expecting that to be sold on Etsy. It's like,
Right.
Well, you know what? That makes total sense. I wonder if it's illegal for her to do that, though. But I don't think it is.
I don't think so, because it's not as if she's selling tests or answers to tests. She's just selling her notes.
Yeah.
And it says here she's 28 years old, Stephanie Beggs. She began selling her notes when she graduated from nursing school, and that now she's reached a very sudden and unintentional level of infamy, and I can imagine so. But basically, during the pandemic, she was making videos, and people were requesting her, hey, can you, like, giving tips on while going to school.
Because the NCLEX is a huge thing you have to study for.
Yeah, and I think she was just basically saying, hey, this is how I study, blah, 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 and she kept getting requests for her actual handwritten notes.
Yeah.
And she went,
my wife got
you know what?
many calls
Sure,
about that
why
too.
not? And yeah, but has she sold it to the tune of $2 million?
Yeah, I should tell her that. I should be like, hey, you still have all that stuff you wrote down?
Incredible, right?
Yeah.
So it says she charges anywhere from $2 for a single study sheet up to $30 and $40 for a whole packet on particular subjects. I don't know. I guess it's not illegal. And would you consider this cheating?
You know what's funny is I think it depends on the course, because for the NCLEX, if I remember correctly, it's not a standardized test in the sense of everyone takes the same test. It gives you different questions for everybody. And if I remember correctly, it's one of those the new NCLEX is like a smart test where it starts giving you questions, and it might give you harder ones depending if you're getting them wrong, or it might give you easier ones if you're getting them wrong. And it tries to test your overall. Well, no, but even if you're wrong, because it tries to see where your barometer is on your knowledge of nursing. Because there's not you're not taking a test about nursing for legs. It's like an overall course, so it's like you can't be 100% right all the time. So it tries to make sure you're at least right most of the time.
Interesting.
Which is very gives me big confidence for nurses.
Right. Well, and that's another thing is I would think I would like to know that my nurses were dedicated enough to take their own notes. I think not that it's cheating, but I think part of becoming a nurse is dedicating yourself to the point, excuse me, where you are able to take your own notes and immerse yourself. And
but
if
you're also
relying on somebody
comprehending information. Everyone does it differently.
Yeah.
And there's always that one person, usually it's a girl, who's like, I made 4,000 flashcards. And, you're kind of sitting there in the back going, man, I wish I had 4,000 flashcards. That would be really helpful. I need someone to do this. And I think that you always have that kind of person in class growing up. They always went above and beyond, use highlighters for their notes. And it's just like, I know in college I took a law class, and one of my friends who recommended me taking it was like, hey, I got my notes if you want them. And I'm like, yeah. And it saved me because I'd never had to study for anything. I could just read their notes. I didn't even have to go to class.
See?
I
Okay.
just look at the notes and I'm like, I'm good. But that's because I'm not a good person. But, it's just kind of like, well, this stuff I totally get. Because that test, if you don't know about that test, if you fail it, you get like one more try.
Yeah, you
And
only
if you fail it
You're
again,
done.
you can't take it
it-
for like 10 years, I think it
Oh,
is.
my goodness.
Or something like that.
Wow.
And I want to say the NCLEX is for registered nurses. So it's not like every level of like, LVN, PA, all that kind of stuff. Like this is
Wow.
yeah, it's
That's
serious.
So, it kind of reminds me of when I went to college. I have
My wife passed on her first try.
Of course she did.
Yeah.
It's great.
You need to sell your notes.
Well,
Make some money.
When I went to school, I got a degree in mass communication, and in order to, from Southwest Texas State University and San Marcos, Texas, at that time you had to take and pass a test called the GSP. It's the grammar, spelling, and punctuation.
Ooh, I failed that.
Yeah. So I thought, how hard could that be? It's grammar, it's spelling, it's punctuation. I am a college student. This shouldn't be a big deal. So I went in, I took the test, and I failed it. Now, it was one of these tests where you could only take it twice. If you failed it twice, you could not major in mass communications.
Oh, wow. So they actually
you
had
had to
some
make you
restrictions.
change your degree.
I figured like you're paying on time. You're good.
And I failed it with like a 68, and 70 is passing. And I thought, oh, man. And this is one of these tests that was on purpose tricky. And
Yeah.
they give you like 4 different versions of one word and say which one's the one that's spelled correctly. And it's like,
Yeah.
oh my, and
That's
3 of
what
them are
NCLEX
incorrect.
has that.
It's difficult. So I got this study guide. I got this book. I said, man, this is like for real. I'm going to have to do this. And I studied and I studied and I studied. And I'm nervous. I go and take it the next time. Passed with a 72. Didn't make much of a difference
Well,
to
they passed.
study, but I passed.
Yeah.
And I did have some friends that were in that program, and they make you take it, I think, before the end of your sophomore year.
Yeah.
Because you have to change majors, and they did not pass. And
Thanks for all your money.
yeah, and well, they had to change their major.
Still,
And-
credits are wasted.
So that is. I'm familiar with these tests that you only get a
Yeah.
couple shots and you're
Well,
done.
I want to say this lady's gonna get in trouble at one point, because the reason I say is because the NCLEX and the companies that put on these tests have their own study material that you can purchase, and they're like, hey, you're getting in on our monopoly here, selling these books
Right.
and selling
Right.
the study guides.
Unless
So-
they get smart and they partner with her. Well, apparently she's caught on because she was listed on Forbes's 2023 Forbes's 30 under 30 list.
I'm not gonna lie, to be on that list and what she did, I feel like there's probably not a lot of cool people on that list if they think this is cool.
Well, I'm not on that list.
Because when I think
I'm
of
also not under
Forbes,
30.
30 under 30, I think of like, oh man, I made Facebook. Well, that's pretty cool. It's like, oh, imagine being in a room. What'd you do? Oh, I sold my study notes online. I mean, that's cool, but I mean, like, is it top 30 under 30?
What did you do?
Like,
Well, I cured cancer. What did you do? I sold my notes.
no, I sold my notes. Well, I mean, no, I mean, I'm not taking it away from her achievements, but it's just to me when someone tells you you're on the list of 30 top 30 in
Well, I think-
Forbes, you think of somebody like, oh, I developed a cure for this kind of thing. And
Right.
I'm just a really smart kid.
Right.
And all of a sudden it's like, oh, I just took advantage of a system that, like, I was really good at highlighting stuff.
Well, apparently it's in demand. She's making money off of it, man.
Which is good.
well-
Which is good. I think because the more nurses that get help, because I know this test is hard. So it's
Yeah.
like whatever way it takes you to pass.
There you go.
Because did you know recently, speaking of nurses, is like I think Texas and Florida, like this huge thing came out about a month or 2 months ago where all these nurses weren't even graduates. They faked it. Did you hear about this?
I have. I've heard it with doctors too.
Yeah, it's nuts because like they hire somebody to go take the NCLEX and they pretend that they're them.
Oh no, I heard something different. Just ordering fake degrees is what I thought you meant. Just basically
Yeah, well,
completely fake degrees.
Well, I think some of it was like that because certain schools would be fake and they'd be like, yeah, they passed, but they still had to take the NCLEX, which is separate from a school.
Okay.
So the NCLEX is like monitored by, like especially in Texas, is monitored by the state nursing board of Texas. So it's not like Lone Star College gives you the NCLEX.
Wow.
It's like you have to go through this. It's like taking the SATs. It's like a different company that operates it. And,
That probably helps legitimize it and
Yeah.
keep out the
but
riffraff. Well, the one I'm thinking of is this guy actually sold fake degrees online, so much so that he had an office and a phone number and a staff there that would answer the phone when people would call to verify degrees. They'd be like, "Oh yeah, Dick Schisler here. Yep, he got his degree in 2000. Yeah, neuroscience in 2002. He's good to go.
He's a doctor.
He sure is.
PhD.
Yeah, he's just a podiatrist, but still a doctor nonetheless.
Let him glove
Crazy.
up.
Yeah, so that's the
Give him the chainsaw.
that's the one I was thinking of.
Yeah.
But it's again, you don't consider it cheating. I don't know. It's really close to cheating, but
Well, connecting it to, I know the next topic you want to do the GPT stuff.
That's how I'm going to connect
People have
them,
been hearing a lot about the GPT,
Correct.
which is basically an online computer that you can enter anything you want to ask, and it'll tell you stuff.
yeah. So okay, well let's step back. So yes, that was where I was going to transition to.
So if I'm a
this
nurse,
isn't cheating,
take my NCLEX.
is ChatGPT considered cheating? And so basically, for those of you who don't know what ChatGPT is, it's basically a chat bot, a very, very advanced chat bot. And if you don't know what a chat bot is, maybe it's easier to give an example of one rather than describing it. Have you ever been on a website, maybe you're shopping or maybe it's your bank, and a little window will pop up and say, "How may I help you?" And you go down and you chat with them and you say, "Hey, look, I'm looking to order checks because I write a lot of checks and I can't find it." And then it'll pop up a response.
You're really not talking to anybody.
You're not talking to anybody. That's a chat bot. Well, what ChatGPT is, it's a second generation chat bot from ChatGPT 3, I think is what it was. And it's an extremely advanced version of that. And I think that the developers have hooked it up to things like Reddit and just had it crawl over the internet for years and just basically just storing information and that way it becomes AI smart. What's interesting about ChatGPT, though, is it's not connected to the internet. So they cut it off from the internet. It's done all of its learning. So say they disconnected it in December of 2022, it's not going to know anything that's happened since then. So if you ask them who won the Super Bowl, in 2023, it's not going to know. But this thing is massively advanced, and you can type in anything, and it will speak to you in a manner that's very human-like. It's very scary. I mean, and you can use it for things like, "Look, I got leftover chicken and some pasta sauce. What do I do with it?" And they'll give you some recipes. That's great, but you can imagine if you're a student and you have an assignment and you need to know who wrote the Declaration of Independence, blah, 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 it will spit out something very, very eloquent to you. And I mean, that's kind of like worse than selling your notes online. This is literally somebody doing the work for you.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess you don't have much on ChatGPT.
No, I think it's one of those things that it's interesting that someone built it, and it's interesting that people are testing it and pushing it in different circumstances. Like the whole that example you gave of, I have extra chicken, I have extra sauces or whatever, and it gives you a recipe. I think that's wonderful because that's a useful thing because you're
Absolutely,
not wasting.
yeah. Yeah.
But if I have to do a 1,500 word report on the Declaration of Independence, I go, "Hey, write it for me,"
And it will.
and I think that's great. You should just go for it. See if you get caught.
Well, apparently, speaking of that, there was a college student, and maybe this guy needs to be on the Forbes under 30, Edward Tien, a 22-year-old Princeton University student. He's built an app to detect whether or not text is written by ChatGPT. You think all the kids like him? He's like the guy in class that gets all the good grades and kills the curve.
Yeah.
Right. So he's liked by no one, but apparently the teachers really love
Well,
him.
I don't know why you'd be in school and trying to be educated while you're like, I'll just use ChatGPT to solve my math homework. Like, that's kind of useless. So
I mean, if it's going to get you the grade,
no,
and you don't understand.
to be educated. Like, that's important to learn that stuff.
It absolutely is, but I think if you're not really caring about being educated.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking to 13-year-old me, and all I have to do is go to.
It's entirely too easy to do.
I totally get it.
But apparently, this guy's website or his app, you can just plug in a piece of text.
Yeah.
And it will go through, and I guess it detects nuances.
I mean, they have that today.
About it. Well, yeah, it will detect nuances about the paragraph and say, yeah, this is most likely written by AI. By the way, this is not the way a human would talk, which I think is pretty sweet.
But still, it's not 100% unless the person admits that
No,
they use ChatGPT.
it probably isn't 100%. But I think, it's interesting. This guy's felt the need. Yeah, we probably need to regulate this stuff. So the creator of ChatGPT, Sam Altman, it says that he thinks that AI like this could get potentially scary and that regulation is imminent. Really, that you're going to have
I
something.
guess. I mean, I think it's also, a lot of people don't realize where they could use that in their world. And kind of like, you said like if you go on Amazon and do a chat bot because you want to like return something, more likely than not you're not chatting with a real person, but the person who's typing it is like, oh, I didn't even think about that because I just want to return my item. I don't care if I talk to a human or not.
Sure. Well,
But-
I think some of the people that might be really scared of this is Google. Wouldn't it just basically eliminate the search
Not
engine?
necessarily. I mean, because ChatGPT is not giving you results of like, hey, give me the top 5 articles based off of this. It's not, I don't.
It could if you asked it
Well,
that way, though.
I know Microsoft has got it with its Bing search engine, so it might be a better search engine. But I mean, Google just needs a better search engine.
Well, I think it's the fact that it communicates with you in a very human-like way that's a lot more palatable than a Google search return with
it's
just
like
a couple
Siri.
of text.
Like, hey Siri. Oh, sorry if I said that.
It
'cause
is,
now
but
people are
no,
gonna-
it is similar to
Hey
that.
Alexa,
It seems like, yeah,
fart.
it seems like every time I ask Siri or Alexa for something, it just says, "Here's what I found on the web." I'm like, "Oh, I could have done that." No, talk
you
to me,
couldn't have.
talk to me.
So you're talking about lonely people?
No. Although I think we are crossing another bridge there.
What's
That
wrong with lonely people trying to talk with ChatGPT? It's a nice Sunday night.
well, I think
What's your favorite wine, ChatGPT?
you're okay. So you're hitting on something here too. Apparently, that people have reported that their experiences with ChatGPT are quote mostly good, but in some cases they can get kind of weird.
Talk to me dirty, ChatGPT.
That
That's
over
creepy.
time, as you
like it.
as you communicate and as the conversations get longer and longer, that the algorithms in there start to adapt to the way you're talking, and that it's almost as if that ChatGPT is almost being a little bit inappropriate, trying too hard to be human-like, and people have reported back, this is really awkward now. And I found this in this article somewhere. Well, I don't know, man. I mean, it seems
Bunch of crybabies. Like, I think it'd be hilarious if you go to someone's history and it's like, I want to kill my mother. How do I do that, ChatGPT, and what it tells you?
hopefully it would say you need to go get help, and then it would report you to the police.
Well, that's not a real ChatGPT, bro. If you're a real ChatGPT, you'd be like, yo, this is the best way. Where do you live? What's the coordinates? Let's see. Where can we bury the body? You know, like that kind of stuff. That's the information I want to know from my AI.
Well, this says that the responses can sometimes be snarky and argumentative to overly emotional. And that's kind of what I was getting at. You were kind of going in the sexy time way, but I was just saying that just,
Well, we're talking about you being lonely. You know,
no, you're talking about being lonely. Yeah.
You're the one talking about being lonely.
No, you're the one who's talking about asking Siri and this, that, and the other for romantic advice. I'm just reporting a story.
Yeah.
I'm a newsman. Okay.
Oh, okay.
I report the news.
Okay.
Oh, man. Microsoft explained in a blog post last Wednesday that long chats, like I was saying, can confuse the model, which may at times try to respond or reflect the tone in which it is being asked to provide responses that can lead to a style that we did not intend.
Are you telling
Weird,
me
man.
Matthew Broderick War Games going on?
Not sure I know
No
that
one wins, or what would the end of that?
Don't know- see, no, I
winner.
don't think I've seen
No
that
one wins. No one wins.
See, this is what happens when you have a co-host that used to do movie reviews on the radio show. You've seen far, far too many movies and far more
I
than...
want to know what it was. Is like because War Games is based off of like an AI that its whole purpose of existing was doing war game theory,
Oh,
and
cool,
somehow it got connected to the actual bomb networks.
Oh, gosh.
And it's like it's
Wait, there was a Michael Crichton book like that, I think.
yeah, and so.
Gummit, which one? I can't remember.
And of
now.
course, Matthew Broderick, who is some little kid, basically tells the machine like no one can win, so there's no point of playing.
Well, another
which is great.
Yeah. Well, another offshoot here is apparently there's a sci-fi magazine.
Oh no! You know what's crazy to me about I know exactly where you're going with this because it's people are going to be submitting ChatGPT's everything
For everything, yep.
and because I was reading
Hey,
that people
ChatGPT, write me a story.
write me a song, right? That kind of
There you go.
stuff. And I think it's fun, but I don't think it's actually a true art.
Of course not.
So-
But people that are doing this are not caring about art. They're not caring about passing.
Well,
They're
that's what I'm
not
saying. Like you're saying,
trying
the
to learn
sci-fi
anything.
editor is probably getting a
So
bunch of stuff.
it's exactly right. So it says the editor of a sci-fi magazine said he's getting flooded with plagiarized short stories as AI tools take off.
Yeah.
And basically, this is one of these editors that does fan fiction, and they write stories and then they publish them, blah blah blah. And all of a sudden, he's getting all these just
I
bombarded
think recently, like
with stuff that basically all
someone,
sounds the same, kind of like the violin players.
no, the world leader, I think from Israel, basically said, "Hey, ChatGPT wrote my intro," and he let everyone know after he said it, like after he did the intro to like the meeting or whatever, like some I don't know what the World Economic Forum, maybe, I don't know.
Who was this? Who did you say?
Some leader from Israel.
Huh.
Was giving a speech, and then like at the end of the speech, he's like, "Hey, just to let you know, the very beginning of my
I don't know how I
speech
feel about that.
was-"
I don't know if I'd be like, "Hey, thanks for being honest," or
Well, he was
really
making
mad.
a point.
Yeah,
He was
okay.
making a point, so it wasn't just like.
Was he there trying to show off how advanced the technology had gotten to where, look, no one would have even known if I
Yeah.
didn't say anything?
Yeah.
I bet if you went back and compared some of his previous speeches, though, it probably wouldn't follow stylistically along the same
Yeah,
lines.
but I mean,
bet.
but you're talking about people don't listen to his speeches anyway, so it's like.
Somebody does. Would you say he's a prime minister or something?
I mean,
Somebody's
have you heard
listening.
Biden speak? Like, no one listens. It's like, no one cares, man. Just get up.
Including Biden, I
You got
think,
5
but-
minutes. Just get off the stage. Go to the next. Bring on the other person. Let's bring on the other person. Let's talk about the hot dogs.
Oh man! So part of the problem here is this sci-fi publisher pays money for this. It pays up to $2,500 if they accept your
For
story.
a good story,
Yeah. So I mean, you can just sit there and just pound it, and send story after story after story, and if half of them get chosen, maybe only a couple, you're making bucks. So I think this is definitely.
Well, they're probably
past
going
the
to call
line.
that kid who made that app that detects AI written stories.
Yeah, that's
so-
probably what they're doing.
yeah.
Yeah, that's probably exactly.
That's what I would
they're
do.
doing. Well, too bad I can't write.
Wonder
an
if I
app
can replace you.
with an AI Andrew.
Yeah, AI Andrew.
How do you know I'm not already AI?
We're going to go down that rabbit hole.
I just figured you'd seen a movie about this
What
already.
is consciousness? What is breathing?
What is air?
Yeah, that's what we should ask ChatGPT. How do you eliminate the human race? What are you really doing? But I think it's cool. I think ChatGPT is cool. The only thing that's not cool is you have to have a login. So I'm like, I'm not going to log
Oh,
in.
so I take it you've already.
Hey, I've already tried to use it.
For this, you know what? I'm going to do that next time. Is just basically put in right next show ChatGPT
Yeah.
and see what it comes up with, and then I'm going to do the whole show. But then at the end, I'm going to say, "Hey, man, ChatGPT just brought you this whole show."
Yeah, but at least it'll be better than, oh man, a kid camped outside for
That story was a
1,000
banger.
days.
Little Ricky, that story was a banger.
But
I'll
I mean,
have you know.
again, if that kid was camping in like 40 acres, living out in the middle of nowhere, I get it. But he's just outside. It's like, oh, the kid's kind of weird.
For 1,000 days, man.
Yeah,
that is weird.
but
In
I mean-
Minnesota.
But he's just sleeping out there. So technically, he wakes up, goes inside, takes a shower, uses the restroom, eats his food, goes to school, comes back, and it's like, oh, I guess I got to go outside in my sleeping bag. I mean, it's not that big of a deal. He went outside for 1,000 days every moment.
I think it's a big deal. Isaac Ortman from Minnesota, if you're listening, I think it's a big deal.
If I had Isaac's ear, I'd be like, dude, challenge yourself, make it bigger. Like, it's like, oh, I'm only going to eat
Well,
oatmeal.
he is 14.
Yeah.
Okay,
But
maybe as he gets
he clearly
older-
wants to be congratulated for this feat. That's just everyone sleeps outside, man. every
Maybe
once
when
in
he
a
gets
while.
older, he's going to purchase his own house and then still continue to live outside. Now, that would be a story,
Yeah,
too.
but he's just sleeping outside. He's not living outside. He's still using the restroom inside. He's still showering inside. It'd be completely different if he was doing everything that we do and we take for granted, having shelter.
You know what we would call them? Homeless.
Well, or
That's
he's
not a story
or
either,
a
Jake.
survivalist, and he's just
Oh, man.
he's getting ready for World War III. When ChatGPT comes to your front door and starts capping people, it's like, oh, I'm used to living outside, but no, he only slept outside, so that's the only thing he's used
It's
to.
only partially ready.
Yeah.
Oh, man, that's funny. All right. Well, I think that's probably pretty good for today.
Yeah,
What do
you like
think?
that?
Yeah, I think that's
Yeah,
probably
and you got
pretty good.
anything coming up that you want to talk about? I know we'll be here next week, of course.
Yeah,
on
we'll be here
Wednesdays
next
at 10
week.
o'clock.
I know we were teasing guests. I don't think we quite have them lined up yet. We've got to
Yeah,
make
we
sure
got.
get all those, but
If you know anyone interesting that can hang with us, let us know. You just email us at audienceofoneshow@gmail.com. That's audienceofoneshow@gmail.com, or Facebook. Just look us up. We're right there.
yeah, we've got, like I said, I've got a few. We just got to make sure we're getting them lined up.
Yeah, I
accordingly
think
then.
it's more of, are they ready?
Yeah, they may not be able to handle this.
'Cause
I have a feeling
we do
every
not
single
have
one of
safety
ours
belts
are
in our
ready.
guest chairs.
No, and
So-
this chair is terrible, by
I
the
know.
way.
I hate these
You've
chairs.
got to get this set up. I cannot work in these conditions.
I can't, but I do because it's what we got. We
Yeah.
work with what we got. But hopefully, what I like is the next episode we'll have a new desk. That's what
I'm hoping that'll be
for.
more
And
accommodating
you won't
to me.
My face won't be hidden by the monitors sometimes when I'm over here.
Yeah, producing,
yeah.
killing it, and trying to also co-host.
So, I gotta keep track of you talking about these lame ass stories. Oh, lame butt stories. Sorry. I'll
You edit that one out, huh?
I'm just kidding. This story. You know what's funny though? I know we're trying to wrap up, but we're gonna keep talking. But looking back at our other two episodes, it's kind of like football kind of dominated, but now we're actually looking at interesting things that's going around the world.
Sure.
And I'm kind of glad the highlight is a kid sleeping outside because that means there's nothing really horrible going on besides this train thing that no one really knows what's going on.
Yeah, I wanted to stray away from that a little
Yeah,
bit.
because I still don't have any idea. Because I think it was Linda Hidalgo. It said like, "Oh yeah, we're getting water and waste from them." Like, well, why? Like, what's going on? And then
Yeah, and then she's mad, but apparently they don't have to tell her that they're transporting this water in. I don't know, man.
But what does that even mean though? Like, why do we care?
Well,
did it break? Did it break in Houston? Did
I think the concern is it might contaminate the water system down here somehow if it gets in, infiltrates. I don't know.
What I'm talking about? Like, it's really weird, especially with stories like that, because all these other tangent stories open up, and you're like, are we supposed to connect the dots? Like, am I supposed to go full conspiracy theory on this, or did this even really happen? Is this like from 4 years ago that I just totally missed?
Yeah. No, I'm trying to stay lighthearted here, man. I want to stay away from those things. It's crazy. The world is too crazy.
Don't mess
for me.
with trains, man. People try to mess with trains.
Oh, like by putting a penny on there to see if it'll derail
that
it?
or leaving an 18-wheeler across the tracks, and that's what happened.
Well, that's going to mess with a
That's
penny.
what
Ain't going to
happened.
do anything. It's just
That
gonna
happened
flatten
right
the penny.
here, like a month ago.
On purpose?
No, like a lot of 18-wheelers don't realize that where the train is raised. So like sometimes if they have a wide load,
Oh, right. It sinks,
buckles,
and then they've high centered.
yeah, and you can't get.
Oops.
And the sad thing about that is, I hope that people had time. Because that train ain't stopping.
No,
and
it
it's
can't.
like, can you imagine the phone call? The trucker's like, "Hey, boss, how important was that load on this cargo?" And he's like, "Oh, well, why?" He's like, "Because it's about to be destroyed."
Yeah. Hey, boss, I got into an accident. When? In about 30 seconds.
Yeah. No, actually about like 30 minutes. It's like, what do you mean? You can't get, and I can't do anything about it. We're just going to watch it happen. But yeah, Andrew, it's good to see you, man. And
Absolutely.
I look forward to having our guest on. We're going to hopefully get a brewer on who brews beer locally here in the, on the earth. And then we're working on different guests, so it's going to be fun.
No, we've got a few.
All right. We'll keep talking while I'm loading up everything else.
Sure. It's been fun, man. Until next time, you can catch us on 106.1, 104.5, irlonestar.com, YouTube, Facebook, and we are, in fact, on Apple Podcasts now. Audience of One Show with Andrew and Dig.
We take it back to the days of yes, y'all. We holding on to what's golden.